talking about, amazingly, personalization. We're talking about delivering personalization across the consumer journey and experience, and in this case, talking about leveraging the LFX platform, which many of you have heard about. But really, basically, what we're trying to talk about is taking what we're doing in media and personalized experiences and pulling it through a few more steps for that consumer and to increase ROI. I'm Cass Baker. I'm EVP of Industry Practices and Product Development for iProspect when it relates to LFX. I've been involved in LFX and that personalization platform for 16 years. So if I talk too much, you can throw stuff at me, because people do, because I'm a little obsessed. I'm here with Bina, who's VP of Product when it comes to LFX platform. Let's get started here. Maybe. All right, there we go. First, just for baseline, when we're talking about personalization as it relates to this, we're talking about delivering an experience that you would to your friend. When you engage a friend of yours, you know what they like and what they dislike. And if you have a topic you want to talk about, you want to just talk to them in a way that they will respond and engage the conversation you want to have about that product or topic at hand.
And from a media standpoint, that means understanding all of those different signals, whether it be from the different media channels, wherever they are, and being able to customize that message for them all the way through their journey, whether it be on a site, whether it be going to a call center, whether it even be going to a chat agent.
So why is personalization important, and why do we keep talking about it in every session you walk into? First one, you heard this from both Sam yesterday and Joel. 80%, in a recent survey, 80% of consumers and businesses said, if you want to do business with me, I expect personalization in the digital experience and at retail. That's table stakes. You know, what personalization means to each consumer can be different, but we all know we need to do it. Second, in a recent e-consultancy survey in January of people in this room, agencies and digital marketers, 87% said one of their top priorities in the next 3 years, and that's a key there, is delivering personalization in real time. If the focus is the next 3 years, we all know there's more to do. We're all doing it, but how do we make it better and how do we get there faster? And finally, we are a performance digital media agency. What's the return? In our experience with clients and overall, if you can advance personalization in different areas of the journey, whether that be in digital media or what we're going to talk about today, which is the first few steps in e-commerce or lead gen or whatever your objective is for that consumer or business, is that 20% return on your existing media is where you should be thinking your baseline is on return. So let's talk about that. So the good part is, today, personalization is happening across media. As far back as 2004 and 2005, our digital properties allowed us to start targeting segments and demographics and actions and allowed us to buy them that way. And it's just advanced since then. And as you see the arrows move through, I think all of your campaigns, we're following different users throughout the journey and talking to them across the internet, whether that's with dynamic creative or whether that's just trying to reach them in different frequency. And many of you who've heard about M1 or other third-party data sets along the way, if you haven't heard about third one by now, or M1 by now, I'm not sure what's been going on. But we're actually targeting individuals. We're actually doing a match, and not only are we targeting anonymous users, but now we're talking about anonymous users that we know we can reach in specific places. And that's some pretty impressive personalization that you're delivering on average across all of the iProspect clients and campaigns that we're running with you today. The average number of segments and audiences that are being personalized and delivered is 55. On the high end, we have clients that are driving to over 150 segments and audiences that we're talking to uniquely and targeting uniquely. This is all a fairly impressive set of data, but what we're seeing is that the complexity of all this is not able to get delivered as much as we all would like in the next step after they leave the media landscape. And when we say that, we talk about, we look at the journeys that happen after, and we see them disconnected often. So in this case, we're talking about, and where Dana will get into a lot more detail about some of these segments, we have 3 individuals that are all looking for the same product. So we have a business traveler who is looking for a backpack for his business travels. He has very specific needs. We have a mom who's got some kids going back to school. They have backpack needs as well, but they're definitely not the same. And then we have Kara, who's an incoming college freshman who has other backpack needs, but they're all searching for the same products. And we're serving ads to them across the digital landscape for the same brand and the product category. And we're doing a fairly good job because we know a fair amount about them as they walk through the digital landscape. But what's happening often, for a lot of reasons, is the baseline is they're going to static landing pages about backpacks. Maybe we get a campaign in there, such as a back to school, but generally that's what's happening because that's what the systems are designed to do. There are a number of reasons why we see this as happening. First being everyone, I think, I don't want to take a raise of hands, but almost everybody would say, lack of resources and priority to deliver all the elements in my website I would like to deliver today. I have the same team fixing a completely broken section of my website that will also make tweaks to the personalized page. That's a hard decision to make, but you know where you're going to end up. And what happens, personalization takes a constant reprioritization. So, but all of this, the second part of that is that all of this is also delivering a lot of data. So if you have all this media and all these segments, it's then spitting out an amazing amount of data about that individual and what's going on. But how can you consume that?
And so what happens to your site? Your site is trying to ingest all of this information, and it prioritizes what it can do. And so only maybe one or two of those signals get through to help personalize the site. So what happens? You're optimizing to the lowest common denominator, and you're really not returning that value that you were looking for from all the media personalization. You're not able to actually fulfill that promise down below.
So when we talk about extending media personalization into the journey, what we're talking about is, as a digital agency, working on digital media and performance, we're delivering dynamic ads or at least following the consumer with specific product and service information across the digital landscape, and we have all that knowledge. We know what it is. It's taking that same information and delivering it to, in this case, landing pages through the LFX platform. So basically, think about it the same way you talk to your media buying and planning team. That same information that they're getting today and understand with all that targeting, they report back to you on what's happening. We're taking that same information and then delivering content pages and or messaging that's specific to those segments, and then driving them deeper into, in this case, the e-commerce experience of the existing site. So basically, we're just extending what is now today your media personalization into the first few pages of that experience and playing through a higher conversion. This slide we needed to put here because almost everybody in the room will bring up this question. We hear it often. I work with Adobe. I work with Adobe for my entire site or test and target inside of Adobe. I have Optimizely and Monetate for testing and personalization. Like, why do I need also to work with another platform? Well, in all cases, these solutions are needed moving forward. LFX platform is really designed to augment and work with these platforms. We built it as an agency to consume all that data that we knew was available and was coming. We knew what was going to be possible in digital media and to be able to work that fast. A lot of these platforms are working really hard to catch up with what is the newest segment and data set that we can now consume and personalize. And how can we do that in real time? The other part of that is that when we think about personalization, even maybe we're just touching one more step in the journey, but we are always going to optimize to the outcome you want. So is that a revenue event? Is that a lead capture? It's not personalizing and trying to get one person just to the next page. It's personalizing to try and help you get them all the way through the journey, even if we're not working with them. And we have many case studies. You can talk to some of our clients. We can say it. But I think one of the other pieces that most recently came out, Forrester's most recent survey of all the personalization solutions that are out there. In January, there are 3 key takeaways on page 1. And number 2 was, there's not one solution that can do all these things. You need to think about it in terms of how do I bring a multitude of solutions together to deliver on personalization, and then think about activating that in real time all the time.
So let's bring it to life. Let's actually show you what that's going to look like for a fictional client, Acme Office Supplies. So they are a large e-commerce retailer. They've got multiple in-store locations, but they also have a large e-commerce presence. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit about each of the individuals. But while I do that, what I wanted to show you was kind of the behind-the-scenes view of what the LFX platform is doing. So as Cass mentioned, we're taking all of that incoming media signal from all of those different media campaigns, and we're able to personalize each of the sites towards individuals. So you can see all of the different media attributes that we have in here, the ability to look at it from a keyword standpoint and be able to optimize the site there, and to be able to look at all of those pieces, whether it be from the brand perspective or even what that consumer's information is. We're using all of that to be able to personalize the site. So while this is going on behind the scenes, the other thing I wanted to point out is the individuals that we're going to look at today. One is Travis, our business traveler. We know he is on the go. We know he's most likely searching on his mobile device. We know that he's looking for tech-savvy products that are portable and lightweight for his next business trip. Secondly, we've got Patty the parent. Patty is a mom parent of school-age children. We know that she's most likely looking for back-to-school supplies. And we know that recently her search history has shown that she's been on both Land's End looking at backpacks as well as Acme office supplies. And then third, we're going to take a look at Kara, our incoming college freshman. Kara is, she's very budget conscious because she's a college freshman, but also she's looking for stylish backpacks. We know that she's been on some fashion blogs recently to be able to look at what those backpacks are. And we know she's most likely using her tablet for browsing and shopping. So let's bring this to life. How could Acme Office Supplies optimize this differently? So as Cass mentioned before, let's take a look at all of these individuals. One, we're looking at the same intent. So they are all coming in and they're looking at backpacks, but the messaging that we want to provide to each of them is unique. And in each of these cases, we're going to use Facebook as our main way that we're looking at it. This solution works for all paid media channels. We're trying to keep consistency here, so what we're really trying to target is what's going on from both a digital media standpoint and also how that carries through to the page. So that's why we kept some consistency there from a channel standpoint. So today you can see this is the site that Travis is going to see. He's going to see that site that's talking about him, and it's talking about the fact that he's looking for a travel-friendly backpack. But today, where does Acme Office Supplies drop him? On this enormous grid of backpacks. It's not optimized to a mobile device. It's a long list, an entire grid. He's got to go left and right all around to be able to see all the backpack options. So what could we do differently for Travis? So in this case, what we're showing is we're bringing that content and that messaging through. We're able to curate for him a smaller list of just the highly available backpacks, the high value backpacks that he cares about for business travel. Knowing that he is on a mobile device, knowing that he travels a lot, we're going to play up the fact that he can get 1 hour pickup. Maybe he's lost his backpack on one of his trips, so he needs to find the closest store to his location. Okay. Next one is looking at Patty. So Patty, again, is coming in, and she's looking at a back-to-school option. But again, it's for backpacks. For her, she's also going to see that enormous grid of backpacks, all of the available options. She has to look through everything here, but what we could do for her is provide her a much smaller list of just the durable backpacks that she's looking at for her children. And as a mom, I know that also my attention is short when I'm shopping for my kids, and so not only do I want to get for back to school that backpack, but I want to also get all of the other supplies at the same time. So you'll see on the left-hand side, we've curated a list of just the back to school checklist that we're focusing on for her, so we know exactly what she's going to want to have. Okay. And third, here's Kara. Kara's looking for our stylish backpacks. Her old backpack is so last year. So when we're driving today, we're driving her again to that enormous grid of backpacks. But what we could provide to her instead is showing the very top stylish backpacks for Kara. We're bringing that messaging through. And we know she's located in Chicago, Illinois. So if she wants to go to the retail location, you can see we're also customizing the messaging at the very top for her store being in the Chicago, Illinois location. So what we're looking at here is really taking all of those individuals, whether it be Kara, Travis, Patty, all of those different people. Right now we're able to provide that great personalization on the front end, but we want to drive it all the way through to the site that they're going to as well. Okay. And then finally, how do we know it's working? So Cass mentioned before the lift that we're looking for. Testing and providing personalization for the sake of personalization, while fun, you also want to see lift. So here you can see that we've got, this is a sample of one of our clients who has looking at both a baseline as well as a personalized site. And you can see over here that the ROI is much higher for the personalized experiences, as well as the average order value is a lot higher too. The other thing I'll point out is this dimensionalizes further. So we're able to bring in all of those incoming signals and be able to provide that messaging. So if you're running a back to school media campaign, you can see down here we're able to dimensionalize the data to be able to say for that particular campaign, let's show you what the actual performance is for baseline versus the personalized site. And then we're able to also look at audience data too. So we're able to know for that back to school campaign, how is it performing for the parent audience versus the student audience. So we're able to really provide that level of information too. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So we've talked about personalization in general. I think everyone certainly is an advocate. I don't say everybody, but almost everybody. Talked about sort of how the LFX platform can deliver the next step in that journey and help, hopefully we displayed, help your existing solutions go to the next level, but that's still not enough. Everyone's like, okay, well, I still have a lot of solutions and I have a lot of objectives. So we typically, if you have not already, we certainly can do this with you. We go through sort of 3 steps to try and outline exactly where there's opportunity and how you can get a 20% plus delivery on ROI. So first step, which I'll take you through, is we map out each segment audience path. What are we doing in digital media? Where are they going? And where does that play out? And how are we delivering on that? At the same time, we take the destinations of those consumers on the site and we do a full audit, which we'll talk about, a 100-step audit, understanding where there's opportunity, and then recommendations for each area we believe there's personalization levels we can add. And then finally, putting those 2 together to actually bring a mathematical equation that gets back to where Dana just was, to show how collectively we agree that doing these things will bring the return we're hoping for. So here's a fairly busy, but I will explain slide. So basically here we have 2 core groups. This is rather than individuals such as these. We're talking about the top row journey. We're looking at the explorer and researcher group, people that are not high intenders. They're being targeted across programmatic and video, and anything in the targeting signals would not be a surprise to anyone in the room, and the message there. In this case, they're all being driven today to the branded experience, which they're both, it's a tablet and mobile, where they're at a higher level of higher level of searching and they're not ready to buy. Lower down below, we have the buyers who really the focus is search. We know they're ready to buy. They're very product specific. Same, we have a new set of targeting signals. Some are going to be coming together, but we're taking that same information and when they're buying, they're typically on a desktop and we're trying to optimize the 2 of them. So we map those out, and if there are 55 of them, or we're going to bucket 55 of the segments into 7 or 8, we're going to map those through and look at what the journeys are today and what the metrics look like. Second part is what I mentioned is a deep 100-step analysis against the actual experiences when they get to the site. What does that look like today from a personalization perspective? What's the performance level, the base level KPIs? If the objective is e-commerce, what does that look like from a consumer experience, and what is the click-through assumption, and what is the ROI that's delivered? The look and feel. Are we delivering the personalization that is now being shown to the consumer in digital media through the site at any level, or is it really going generic as Dana described? When you think about usability by device, many of you have responsive sites, not all, but are there things we can do to optimize the mobile experience further? And a lot of times that comes into play when it comes into content messaging and layout. We start talking about taking the same content and moving it around based on what we know about that consumer and what they're trying to get to and how fast. The key is frictionless. How can we make the next 2 steps the most frictionless steps into your e-commerce or lead generation experience to then deliver on that? And what you see here on the right is a couple of pages for each one of the sections to talk about. In this one, you see greens and reds, what are the areas we believe are going really well? Where do we think we can help optimize that? And all of that comes together in what ends up being a calculated projected ROI. If we were to do some of this and pilot this with you, in this case, we have an example where the functionality on the site was a big drag on conversion. So you'll see a lot of green. A lot of the content was there, a lot of the flow was there, but when it came to getting consumers to take the actions you wanted them to, it wasn't there. And we felt we could we do a number of things to relay out some pages, personalize them, and in this case, deliver a 15% increase in conversion, which based on this campaign was an incremental annualized number of $8.3 million in revenue. On that, again, we are always looking at it from existing media budgets. We're not talking about incrementally adding media. We're taking optimization to the level of how do we take that existing dollar and drive more revenue or leads or whatever your outcome may be. I'll take you back to where we started, which is we know that consumers and businesses are looking for it. We know that the brands and marketers are all focused on trying to make this happen, and we know it can deliver if done well. And we hope that we can help you do so and bring your personalization to the next level and pilot a program to do so. So we will take questions now.
For a brand that doesn't really sell online, they sell with Amazon or they sell maybe offline, like how this could tackle this problem?
So I think there's probably a couple ways that we're looking at it from if they don't have an e-com presence and how could they do this within Amazon or even from an offline standpoint. So a couple things about the platform. When we were looking at building this out, and especially with our agency background, we knew that there were places where conversions were happening in places other than just the site directly. So we have a full solution that allows you to understand all of those pieces, especially if it's going to a call center. We're able to track all of that through to the call center to really understand the conversion and personalize the messaging there. So those are like some of the pieces where we're able to take that messaging through. So we take a look at all of those incoming signals, and as much as possible, we're trying to use that area to be able to personalize in each, whatever that channel or wherever that audience is, we're taking a look at that information.
And I think also to add to your question, trying to engage people further in those products. If your objective is really engagement and understanding and research in the product, doing the same thing from signals, but bringing them, how much more engagement can we get? How much more personalized can we talk about those products so they can be more informed and have a higher sales rate wherever that transaction may happen? Other questions? Well, thank you very much. Go ahead. Sorry?
So a lot of it obviously supports a lot of the paid campaigns. How can it really support organic and SEO? Because obviously taken to landing pages are not indexed, so it's about making sure we can work together.
You want to start with that question? Go ahead.
Yeah, so we were actually just talking about this morning. So we are looking at how we can extend this platform to more channels, especially from an SEO standpoint. But we also know that that's a big thing, right? Like the ability for us to do this dynamically works well within the paid media space, but doesn't work as well for maintaining your quality store and keeping all of that information up for your organic site. So those are things that are on our roadmap, is how do we extend this into the organic landscape as well.
It was built on the paid side for various obvious reasons. Many of you work with us today on the SEO side, and there are a few things that are coming out that will make this be able to play both ways. But right now, it's really focused on paid.